Hi, parents. Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming to visit and learn something new related to being a parent and, help your kids be the best they can be. Today, I wanted to focus on maybe making the work that they're doing at home not feel so daunting. There's a couple little tricks that I use whenever kids feel overwhelmed in the classroom. And I know that it's helpful when we can break it up into little chunks. And one of the words that we're taught in college is scaffolding, to be able to take a big project and then break it into little tiny things or read the directions a little bit at a time so that kids feel successful. I mean, you don't want to just give them a project and say, here, because giving them a project and say, here, go do it, is really too big, especially for first graders and little elementary school kiddos. So one thing I suggest is whenever you're working on something that's on the table, to just work on one thing at a time, even just read the directions. Oh, let's put your name on your paper. Name on your paper. First thing, where does it go? At the top. And then, you read the directions. Okay, and then you go to the first one and maybe give yourself enough room to work out your problem. But doing one thing at a time and using like a little mark for where they can be is really helpful. Because if you look at all the problems, they go, oh, there's so many problems. Or if there's a bunch on one page and there's still more on the other page, they just get overwhelmed. So to break it down and only have them look at one thing at a time is very helpful. Another thing that's helpful is your questioning. If you work on, helping them break down their own work, they can start to decide what they want to do first, second, and third. So it's kind of part of the scaffolding process is allowing the kids to own what they're going to do because you guys have had a nice talk about it. So I know that my child might have 5 or 6 things, and you can just say, okay, well, which thing seems like you can get it done pretty quick? Well, I'm really in a mood to read, Mom. Okay, so let's go ahead and read first. And do you have to do any assignments with that reading? Yeah, Mommy, I need to do a summary about the reading that I do. Oh, okay. So will you do that right away? Yeah, I think I'll do it right away while the reading is still fresh in my mind. Okay, so what you're doing is you are helping them think through their first step, their second step, their third step. And man, kids actually really like that. And then when you ask them questions, they own what their responsibilities are. And all of a sudden, you're not the bad guy. You're not the one saying what they must do. Okay, so really be proud of yourself when you ask questions with your kiddo and get them to see what they could be doing next. Okay, so where will you take your break? Because you're going to need to wiggle. You got to wiggle sometimes, and ask them when a break can happen. Remember, sticking to a schedule is very, very important. But if your child is doing really well and you see a place where they can have a wiggle break, maybe do a little exercise, run up and down the stairs, run down the hall 5 times, whatever it is, get your kids to do a little wiggling, get that brain, get things charging again. So let's see if I've covered everything so far. The other thing is once you've questioned your child and you know that they've got 2 or 3 things that they're going to work on, the next thing you can do is start really trying to leave them. In first grade, your goal is for kids to do things for a half hour on their own by the end of the school year. And at the beginning of the year, they're still coming off of kindergarten, and parents do sit with their kids quite a bit, read instructions, talk them through things. But by the end of first grade, kids, their goal is to really be able to do one whole assignment for a half hour by themselves, and then you show your parents the work after. Second and third grade, a little bit more and a little bit more of that becomes your goal for your kids. By fourth grade, they can do an hour to an hour and a half all by themselves. They they almost can do their homework all on their own and hardly need parent help, but you still want to be engaged and ask them what they're doing. Check their agendas, of course, whenever there's school back in session. Kids want to know that you care about their work, and maybe they share their favorite work with you. Hey, Mom, I'm most proud of this today. And then let them be proud of themselves for what they're doing. You don't have to share everything once they get a little older. But, okay, so do some scaffolding. Help your kids break things down into smaller chunks. That's always been a great thing to help kids with. Remember to cover up some of the words or cover up parts of the assignment when it feels too daunting. And ask all the right questions. Get your child to own what they're doing by agreeing, yes, I would like to do my reading first, Mom, or I'm really in a mood to do math first today, Mom or Dad, okay? That always seems to be helpful. I think those are good tips, and I really hope you use them. It takes time to become a good questioner, to rotate and move your kids in the right direction. And our goal is to make them really confident learners that almost don't need parent help eventually. And then by that time that happens, by the time you get to the point where your kids can do things on their own, they go to middle school and high school and the learning gets harder and harder and you feel like you can't help anyway. But still be engaged in this process with your kids. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming by. Keep visiting the channel. And if you have any if you're parents that know me, please go ahead and email me and give me some new suggestions, because I always want to be as helpful as possible. And we will get through this whole coronavirus thing together. I just know it. Have a great day. Stay positive. Pat yourself on the back. You're doing a great job. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming.